Hello friends, welcome to Misora, your one-stop solution to understand all the problem-solving methodologies and its implementation. In our Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt series, this is the second video. And in the last session, I shared with you what is the purpose of Six Sigma, what is the DMAC methodology. Briefly, we understood how Six Sigma was evolved from quality and how and why organizations use Six Sigma, right? So today we are going to see the second part of it, which is the Lean foundations and principles. What is Lean? What is its purpose? What is the methodology? What is just in time? Few of the tools, 5S, just in time, Pokayoke, Kanban, value stream mapping, and finally value of lean to the organization as a whole, right? So before getting into the purpose of lean and all this, let me tell you, lean is a methodology which is already tried and tested, so you don't have to do anything on the tools. These are tried and tested tools. These are standardized tools which you can straight away use and reap its benefits, right? So once you get in once we get into lean, what it is and how we use it, you will understand how to use all these tools, why these are standardized tools, right? Now suppose before getting into lean, just read the case. For your help, let me read it out. So suppose your bank or any organization has a recruitment requirement of 10 sales executives, and a recruitment executive was assigned the assignment. She sourced about 100 candidates and shortlisted 50 for one round of interview. All the 50 shortlisted candidates were asked to come and wait in the reception area, say about in the morning 9 a.m. As reception was crowded, they were asked to go to the cafeteria and wait for their turn. As conference room was busy, they were asked to go to the another floor of the conference room and wait there. All the candidates were evaluated for one round, and 10 candidates were short selected out of 25 candidates. As they still had 25 candidates, they wanted to interview all the candidates again to select the best 10 out of the 50. Out of the 25 candidates selected earlier, 10 candidates had very low score in aptitude test. Still, they were selected for their communication skills. Since this is a video, so you can just pause it and go through one by one. For the timing, I'll skip here. And so, if you go through this all this case, small case, you will find this were there were examples of transportation of the resources where the people have to move from one place to another place. We would call that inventory also in this case, because there were different people who were moving. They were, you can use all those people as raw materials. Motion, obviously everyone was moving. Yeah, then there is a waiting time. There is a overproduction is the case where they did not needed those many candidates, and they had called all of them, right? Then there is over processing in the later part where they went through all the candidates. They did not require that, right? There were defects because for initial when they shortlisted 50 were rejected, so somewhere there was a gap and a waste of human capital potential as a whole, because throughout the process different human beings were involved and they were not doing the right thing, right? Now if you go, I have highlighted all this, like wait, they have to go again, they have to go to, means it's a transfer. 10 candidates were selected out of 25, so 15 were a waste, right? But still they had 25, so they wanted to review everyone. That was the waste, right? So if you go broadly through this example, you'll find cases where it was a transportation, inventory piling up also, where you don't need those many candidates, still you have so many candidates as raw material. Motion, waiting, overproduction, overprocessing, defects, and human potential, right? Now, so what is the purpose of lean, right? To understand the purpose of lean, so suppose for any process, this is, you have to understand this at a process level. So suppose for any process, the first thing, let me, so the first thing is value, right? Let's call this as value. So suppose you have a process, right? If you had a, if you would have gone to my first example, first session example, I had given you an example of a pizza delivery, right? So in that case, what is the value for the customer? Time, right? Then temperature, then maybe quantity also, right? And quantity can also be with the rest of other things like the sauce, the seasoning materials what they share with the pizza, right? So these are the values, right? So first step in lean is you have to specify the value, right? This is the first thing. You specify the value, right? Once you specify, so and this is what value is. Once you specify the value, where you have to go, you have to map the value stream. Though value stream is a tool itself which we will learn to understand what is value stream. So suppose you have a process of 4 steps, right? You have a process of 4 steps. To align, let me erase this. I'll put time here, right? So time. Suppose you had a process, you had a process of 4 sub activities. Now to this process you have to ensure, suppose temperature is the first value what we are bringing in the value stream. We have to ensure that how this temperature is flowing through the entire process, how your quantities are flowing throughout this process. This is for simplicity. When we go to a green belt level study, I'll give you some example, different examples. Now, if you see, this is for simplification, I am showing you like this. Now, if you see from these 4 steps, in the value stream, how value is created. So let's take positive for creation and negative if it is getting rejected, right? The temperature is getting reduced each and every process, suppose. So that would be the minus. So you have to align throughout this process how value is created or how value is getting decreased, right? So that's what is value stream. There is a tool for that. We will see that tool. That is value stream mapping. Once you map the value stream, you have to establish the flow, right? What is that again? Now if we talk about flow is nothing but movement, slowly and smooth movement, not slow, smooth movement of all these processes with all this value being created, right? So you have to look for waste here. You have to look for maybe cycle time and all those, right? This for understanding, right? So you have to ensure the flow is smooth, right? There is no bottlenecks here, right? So the things are not piling up, like inventory is not piling up. There is a smooth flow, right? Bottlenecks. Then once you have that flow, once you have established the flow, you have to implement the pull. So again, for to understand simply, let's call pull as demand only, right? So I'll produce only what is demanded by the customer or by this process. So suppose at this process I need 20 units, so I'll not supply this 25 units, right? I'll only supply 20 units. So that's what pull is. We will go in depth into it later on. So for the simplicity of understanding, we'll have this, right? So now, so you have the pull now, right? So that's whatever we will produce, whatever is required. We will not produce anything additional, right? Once you have established the flow, you have mapped the pull, implement the pull, then work towards perfection, right? Work towards perfection. and then finally specify the value. I don't go by my handwriting. So first so one, what is perfection? So now I don't want any defects here, right? So let's call it a zero defect, no reworks, nothing, right? So let's call it a zero defect. So you have to check here the reworks, delays, and all those defects, right? Then finally you are creating value for the customer, right? Now and you're back to the same where we started with uh, process one, and this you continue one by one. So once you reach here, again you specify the value. If it is same, so why you need to specify the value multiple times can be because the customer requirement might change, right? Once you have established all these things, customer requirement might change in due course of time. So again specify value and go back to the second point, right? So that's what this lean principle is all about. So if you focus on the lean principle, it is about reducing the waste in the value stream and providing maximum value to the customers. So that's simply to talk, call it, let's call it do more with less. That's it, right? It also addresses all the weakness in the traditional business model and industry practices and provides a methodology that will bring the utmost value to our customers and ensure the organization is economically sustainable. That's a textbook definition, but to understand it, this will address all your weaknesses, the delays, the reworks, like assumptions like we need more inventory at some point of time, right? So I need to store inventory. Those sort of principles also traditional principles lean questions. These are few of the tools, very simple tools to understand and use. Suppose we talk about 5S, which is sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. If you take this picture available here, so suppose I have scattered all these things in a garage or something. So I sort it first. I sort this out based on their sizes, based on the categories. I set them in order, like this is the way it is set in the order. Then I shine basically is to cleaning. So mostly in case of manufacturing unit, it is cleaning. For service industry, it would be like a data cleaning. You're cleaning a data, you are cleaning some informations. You don't want any additional information to be stored, those areas, right? Excuse me. Then you standardize everything. So I need to put all these things in a size. I need to put this like this. I need to put this like this. There are places for everything where anything else cannot go, right? Then you sustain this practice. So suppose there can be audit process, there can be a visual control system, there can be something else, right? But you sustain it. First, try to do it at your home. 5S is a very good principle to use, to be used in at your home, at your office, at your workplace, anywhere. And then you see what is the benefit you are getting. Then only you will understand how to use this tool. Otherwise, this is just a one slide, right? Just in time principle. So what we do, we understand in just in time is like I told you earlier, the pull. So whatever we will have something only when there is a demand, right? Similarly for just in time, what we understand is I need in this process step, I need 20 units of inventory by tomorrow, right? Or by say 2 p.m. to be very specific. So I won't supply 20 units to this guy 2 p.m. before one day, right? I'll not supply before one day before. So I'll supply him just maybe I'll take just 2 hours of. So I'll push my supply chain so that it reaches this guy 2 hours. So they store only for 2 hours. They don't need to store it for, right? So I reduce the movement, I reduce the waiting time, I reduce the movement, I reduce the waiting time, and even the warehousing also, right? So that's what is just in time. McDonald's, Domino's, these are the organizations which there's so many of them who have implemented this now, and there is a full-fledged economics on this just in time accounting, right? Pokayoke, very simple to understand. Again, what we do in Pokayoke is it is called mistake proofing. So where what you do is you find a mechanism so that the defect does not occur. For example, in case of you want to put a HDMI plug into a HDMI plug, by mistake you cannot put a HDMI. By design it is made that way that you cannot put a HDMI into a USB, right? Or to a VGA. So that's what is mistake proofing. You first understand where is the defect occurring, why it is occurring, how can I remove the defect totally, right? Then Kanban is another tool which is used with along with just in time. You can understand it better with just in time. It is related to all those. Though you can also use it at a visual control level, like you're able to see in this pic. Say for broadly, if I tell you how how this principle can be used. So let's take suppose you have a process of four steps, one, or let's call it A, B, C, and D, right? And there are different executives, managers, or even so either at an organizational level or at even city level or even at office level, different people are working. There is a flow from this side, right? So suppose today the flow is 20 here, so 20 in here, and out of 20 you have given 10 here. So it can be ticket, it can be units, it can be anything. And then here maybe this guy does not finish, but the work in progress again from previous day was something, right? Suppose this was 10 and this was 5, right? So in the so your final would be 20, 10, 10, 5, something like this, right? And you're sticking all these things with a stick note or something just to see. Now if you see that the volume here is increasing, or you can see lots of clutter here with your stick notes what you are pasting as to-do list or anything, you know now the bottleneck neck is this one, right? So Kanban also, what Kanban does is it shows you the entire flow where there is a bottleneck, where things are going smooth, where you need to address first, all those things. Apart from what you are able to see here, just as a whiteboard and all this, the methodology behind this is you have to ensure that your workflow is integrated with your Kanban system. There are apps now available, so you can integrate your mail even with those apps, which shows you your workflow view of all these things. Right now, value stream mapping, what I showed you earlier. So, what we do in value stream mapping is we first ensure what is the flow of the material or information, and those material and information what transformation they are getting into, right? Say it looks like this, something like this is I have taken from Goal in Six Sigma. You can go, there are lots of tools this guys have, this website has, so you can download all those and use it. This one also I have taken from there. Now if you see here, there is a supplier who will supply. Then you have four process steps. Within the process steps, the data box can have multiple items here, right? And then wait time and processes time. Data box can have your number of quantity, work in progress, what is the productivity, you put whatever you can understand, right? And then post all these things, you you have to write here what are the improvement areas, right? Say for example, process step 1 to process step 2, you know there is a wait time of 90 minutes, right? So that itself is a improvement area. Why this 90 minutes? So VSM gives you a visual mapping of end-to-end process and what you have to do. So if you have very less time and you have to present it to the leadership team, right? And so this is the way you can do it, right? Now, okay. So what value lean gives to the organization? So you remove waste, overproduction, excess motion, waiting, inventory, excess movement of the materials, defect correction, and excess processing. So majorly lean attacks all these areas. If you go through examples of all this, you'll be able to understand where you can relate it practically in your area, right? And finally, by doing all this again, unlike the Six Sigma I had showed you, this also brings in the reduction in the defect, lead time, cost, inventory, space, and waste, right? And thereby improving your productivity, resource productivity, customer satisfaction, capacity, responsiveness, quality, and profit, right? So, broadly to say, what we learned now, just now, what is lean? And we shared some lean tools. There can be so many other tools also. And what is the value of lean to the organization as a whole, right? If you want to do some exercise with your own group, share. You can also share the result or doubts in the comment section. Write down 10 improvement areas from this video and share here. So I'll share with you, or anyone else also can comment those are relevant or not, right? And thanks a lot. Share your questions in the comment section. Wait for the next session, which should be on the Six Sigma roles and responsibilities. Also, we will see a bit of team basics on there, right?